I had one of my long-term subscribers send me an email a couple of days ago talking about a horrible situation that he ran into when he was making a delivery for Uber Eats. And today I kind of want to talk to you about that situation. I responded to him and gave him some ideas on what I thought about it. And he asked me if I could share it with you guys so that if you run into this situation, you know what to do too. My name is John McFall, and I want to welcome you to the McFallRI channel, where I teach you how to make $25 to $30 an hour doing food delivery. In today's video, I want to talk to you about a situation that one of our subscribers had down in Nashville, and it was a really busy day. There was a ton of people in the area that he was working at. His cell service was completely gone in parts of the city, and he could not complete the order because he could not deliver it to the customer. On top of this, with his bad cell phone reception, he wasn't able to cancel the order in the app. So what do you do in this kind of situation when it comes to these food delivery apps? So he was working on Uber Eats on this delivery. It was actually a stacked order. He got both of the orders. He went and delivered the first one, had no problems. And he went down to a really busy street in Nashville that was full of people, was full of cars, and there were so many people using their cell phones that he was having trouble getting his cell phone to work. It wouldn't work on the app. It also couldn't make calls, and he was just kind of at his wit's end with what to do. The customer worked right in a restaurant in this downtown area. He was delivering the order to a restaurant, and when he tried to contact the customer, because he went to drop it off and he was just going to park his car for a quick minute and run it in, but somebody, a security guard, had told him he wasn't allowed to park where he was trying to park, and his vehicle would be towed if the car was set there, and so he had to continue going down the road. He couldn't find a parking spot. His cell phone wasn't working. He tried to call support. He tried to call the customer, and nothing was working for him at all. So what he ended up doing was he ended up actually driving out of this area, and he tried to call Uber support a couple of times. Finally, he was able to get through to them and kind of explain what the situation was, and they told him to cancel the order on the app. I can tell you from my personal experience using Uber Eats, there have been times when I've had to cancel an order on Uber Eats, but I don't have that option on my app. I've tried it on an iPhone XR, I've tried it on my new iPhone 13, and for whatever reason, I don't have the ability to cancel that order on Uber Eats. So he kind of didn't really know what to do, and he had this customer's food. He ended up being about 20 minutes past the delivery, and finally when he did get cell phone reception, he just marked the order as delivered because that was the only way that he could close it out in the app. He did make another phone call to Uber support after that, again explaining the whole situation to them, and they said, "We completely understand and we're sorry, and this is not going to go against you." So I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about what you do in situations where you just don't know what to do, and you kind of got to make decisions on your own, and what's the best approach when it comes to this. I've never had a situation specifically like this, and I'm glad that I didn't, and I'm sorry to the subscriber that sent me the email that had to go through this. The closest thing that I've come to personally is I had an order, I went and delivered it to the drop-off location, and after I dropped it off, I was texting with the customer, and it was a GrubHub order. Well, I dropped it off at the wrong place. There is a nursing home that I drop off to on a consistent basis. I go there all the time, and when I got the order and looked on the map and saw the location, I just instantly thought it was this nursing home. Well, there's a hotel that sits literally right next to it, and the order was supposed to go to the hotel. I marked it delivered, and when I texted with the customer, I instantly realized that it was not dropped off to the right location. By the time I went back into the nursing home to get the food off the desk, the order was already gone and taken to the room of the person in the nursing home. So I actually got onto the phone and called support. If you ever run into a critical issue when you are working on these food delivery platforms, get on the phone with support rather than trying to text them, and rather than just trying to ignore the problem. Always pick up that phone and call support. In my case, I called GrubHub and I said, look, at that time I've taken about 3,500 deliveries, and that was the very first time I'd ever delivered to the wrong address, and it was my fault. So I called GrubHub and I said, hey, I completely made a mistake here. It's completely my fault. I didn't mean to do it. And the customer did not get their order. And GrubHub said, thank you for letting us know, and we will note it in here, and we will get the customer their order. And there was nothing that they did to retaliate against me for having this mistake. So if you ever run into a critical issue, get on the phone with support and talk to them so that they can, number one, document it in the system, and number two, they can make sure that if it's an honest mistake that you make when you're out there doing food delivery, they know mistakes will happen, and it's a forgivable mistake that they're not going to hold against you. In the case with me with GrubHub, I never had any emails, I never got any phone calls, I never had anything come across the app that said, hey, you didn't deliver an order and you marked it delivered. So this is kind of the direction I told the subscriber to go in his situation. I will admit that there are times where you're going to have to call support more than one time. There are times when I've called support and I've been on the phone with somebody that truly did not understand the situation that I was in. This is just what we deal with when calling the support line on the platforms. But if you run into a situation where either A, you made a mistake, or B, you had to make an executive decision like the subscriber I'm talking about did, call support and let them know what the situation is. And if it is a legitimate reason, if it's a legitimate excuse, if it's a legitimate problem that you're having, these apps are not going to hold it against you. With the amount of orders that they do on a daily basis, I am sure that they are getting calls regularly saying this is a major crisis and this is what happened. And they understand that things happen when we're out here doing food delivery. So I'm glad that it was resolved the way it was for the subscriber that emailed me, and he didn't get any blowback from it at all from Uber Eats. I will say that in my book, the way it works is DoorDash support is the worst when it comes to communicating with them and resolving issues. GrubHub is better, and Uber Eats, in my personal opinion, is the best one when it comes to customer support. But regardless of what app that you're on, if you run into a situation that's kind of out of your control and something that you can't help, just call the support line and tell them the whole situation, and they will document what happened, and they will, not give you any consequences for a problem happening. I want to remind you that down here in my description, I have some great tools for you. The one I want to talk to you about today is my metric spreadsheet. If you want to know how well you're doing while you're out here doing food delivery, it starts by keeping track of your numbers. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen real quick so you guys can check it out. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see I always put my start time and my end time. This gives me the total time that I've worked. I also put in the miles. If you head to the right, then you'll see for each individual app, I put the dollars that I've made, the time that I worked, and the number of deliveries. Head to the bottom and you'll see it calculates out what your average dollar per hour, dollar per mile, and your average per order. If you want to get to that $25 to $30 an hour that I always talk about on my channel, it starts by keeping track of your numbers. This will show you where you are and show you where you need to improve. I also would like to ask you to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. Finally, I want to say I hope that you are out there getting the money that you and your family deserve. And with that, I want to say thanks.